talk about Black Mirror, right? I just finished watching the season of Black Mirror. Let's do a review of it. 1 second, share screen, and then we'll get to the chat. Right, so it was season 7 of Black Mirror just happened, and I think it was a very successful season. Right, I think it's probably one of the most successful seasons they've had in a long while. All right, it's I don't know. Look, I thought, but I like early Black Mirror, obviously. But I really like the Christmas special they did with John Hamm. I thought that was really very, very creepy, right? And I think this season really had a great mix of interesting, scary, thought-provoking Twilight Zone-esque stories. So we start with this one. This guy's famous, but I can't remember who he is. That's wait, what's it? Why don't I just look up an episode guide right there? Hang on. This episode was called Common People, and it starred. Really? Is there no here? Wikipedia list of episodes. Okay, 1 second. So Common People. That does not say who it's starring. Oh, it's really annoying. Maybe I'll look on. Oh, there we go. Got Gus. Rashida Jones, right? Rashida. Okay, that's who it is. So if everyone does like kind of dystopian with a every woman type woman, you get Rashida Jones, right? That's her go-to thing, and that is Chris O'Dowd, right? Whose name rings a bell, but I've seen him around. It was in the It crowd, right? That was it. So anyway, I get the feeling that Charlie Brooker thinks he's making a commentary on evil capitalism, but to me, he's making a commentary on evil socialism in this one. Rashida Jones gets this brain injury, and so they have to. There's a new treatment where they clone her brain, or that part of the brain, and then she's in constant connection to it via the cloud, via like a cell service, right? And essentially, it's like, what would your life be like if it was controlled by the ethics of a cell phone company? And again, I just see this becoming more reality in left-wing governments. In like, I think Labour would allow the companies to run riot like this. So yeah, it's essentially quite horrifying. That at first everything's great, but when they go out of their coverage zone, she like switches off, and they say, oh yes, now you've got to get whatever it's called, River Mine Plus, to be able to travel anywhere without being shut down, right? Also, that she has to sleep an extra hour a night for the processors, and that gets to be more and more and more and more time. And the trouble is originally they were on the cheapest level, which is River Mine Common, right? That's why this episode is called Common People, which still costs an extra $300 a month, which they really can't afford. So like their quality of life is destroyed. He's like working 24/7, doing overtime whenever he can, and she's always sleeping, right? So they never see each other. But then it gets worse. So they finally scrape up money to go away to a cheap hotel they got married at for their wedding anniversary. She switches off, right? So you're going to get River Mine Plus. That's like an extra $500 a month on top of the extra $300. There's no way they can afford it, right? And now they're changing the terms and conditions, and she's sleeping a lot longer, and it's just worse. So it gets worse and worse. That then she starts getting ads. Like she switches off, and in the middle of a conversation, she'll like recommend like you should try Christ counseling services or something like that, right? And there's like a plus level, which is you would get to be a super person, and you're essentially living off the brain energy of all the poor people, right? And again, this just strikes me what left-wing governments would be like. Right? This is I don't know why it's like saying, oh, look at right-wing consumers. No, I think it's left-wing stuff that's like, way more scary nowadays, right? Just way more scary. But anyway, in terms of being a thought-provoking, interesting episode and like the stuff he has to go to get my, it's a recommend. It's definitely worth that hour of TV time. You are totally entertained by it, right? So, off to a good start. Second episode is a little bit twee, and it does completely rip off an episode, Rick and Morty. Essentially, you remember the tank of acid episode where Morty has Rick make him a machine that will be able to save reality, and he'll go back to it, right? And it's a great episode, by the way. So essentially, this happens this is the whole premise. The blonde girl was bullied in school by the black girl, or sort of like peripherally bullied, and she takes apart her life slowly and systematically by shunting her to lots of different parallel universes. So make essentially like she'll say. She'll write out an instruction, and then a mistake was made because that instruction wasn't written out. And she said, "No, I definitely wrote it out. Just go and check my emails, and check the emails. The instruction was not written out." Right. So it's a pretty good episode, but Rick and Morty did it a lot better. But is that worth the hour of your time? I'd rather watch the Rick and Morty episode. Right. Frankly. This one also falls reasonably flat. I would say it's skippable. It's called Hotel Reverie. And it's some weird new system where you can be inputted into an old movie to kind of like give a fresh lick of paint. So this, whoever the star is playing a, who does star in it? Hang on. Is Issa Rae. I've never and Aquafina. Okay. Right, it's her name is Issa Rae, and she's playing like this big celebrity, and she wants to do something different. So she inserts herself into this movie, into the male role of this movie, and it creates its own reality. Again, it's an interesting idea. I don't really like the transy stuff. Saying there's no difference between the genders. I think that's absolutely not true. And again, it's okay, right? It's an okay episode of Black Mirror. It's not world shattering, right? But those two are the weakest two of this season. My personal favorite is the Capaldi episode, which, oh God, I love Peter Capaldi so much, right? Really, really, really clever episode where he's it's in the near future Britain, which is like complete surveillance. It looks awful, right? And he's picked up to the police for some minor crime and his story unfolds that he was a game reviewer in the 90s, and somebody made like an artificial life, right? You created an artificial world where there's artificial intelligent little like blobby beings in there, and you could build for them, and they would be happy. So he had a friend stay over who was a drug dealer. And he found out when he took, was it the crystal meth? No, it was meth, acid or whatever it was. He took the drug dealer had, then he could actually commune with the life forms, right? With the artificial intelligences, right? So he goes out one day and comes back and finds the drug dealer guy, like torturing him, like killing all these like the little AI thingies. Right, and so the fit of rage, she kills him, right, and it begins a life of like living alone and dedicating himself to these artificial intelligences, getting like more and more computing power, right? So it goes over from the 90s. I guess it's set in like the 2030s, 2040s, and eventually it comes out that. He's got a very, I don't want to spoil it, he's developed a very intimate relationship with the I'm not talking sexual, intimate relationship with the AI, right? And the where he ends up taking it is it can be looked as at a artificial intelligence taking control over humanity, or a new age of peace and prosperity, right? It's a really interesting idea. It's a really good thought-provoking episode. For me, this was the standout of the season. Another very good one, however. Not quite as good as this one, called Obituary, starring Paul Giamatti. And I like Paul Giamatti in anything. Yeah, that's why I'm like going to give the Star Trek Academy series a check out, because he's in it, right? He's just a good quality actor. And he's able to use technology to enter old photos, and it's really the story. It's a tragic story of love lost, right, and how relationships fell apart through miscommunication, essentially. And again, a very, very clever and interesting story. I think, again, best season they've done in a long while. And the final one, which everybody was a bit surprised about, was USS Callista Into Infinity, which is a sequel to the one they did last year, which I just watched today. This is the only one that's an hour and a half long, right? And this one, I was surprised they did a sequel to it. So essentially, this guy's invented this video game. I'm not sure if it's the same, if they recast it, because he's way thinner. One second. It stars with Chrissy Mitloni, who was in the what's it called again? The Penguin Show that everybody's liking. Here, one second. I'm trying to see if it's the same guy who played him in the original one, because he looks way thinner, right? I'm trying to remember. Oh, it's still Jesse Plemons. Blimey, he's had some gastric bypass surgery. You can totally tell. Okay, fine. So it's got this tech genius who's invented this video game which you enter virtually. You put this little disc on the side of your head, and it's like. But it's got this illegal machine that can clone people's DNA and make clones of them in a virtual space, and essentially you make a virtual clone of them so you can torture them or do whatever you want them. So what he did, there was a Star Trek type show that he was in love with. So he made his own Star Trek type show and made them all be officers on the crew. It's all the whole episode is kind of a power struggle, both in the real world and in the virtual world. And this is more of the same, but actually, I didn't think this would have legs, and it really, really does. It's actually very, very compelling. It's exciting. You are invested in the characters, and it just honestly, you know what's interesting about it, because they are virtual beings, right, that live in this virtual world, right, which is now a massive multimedia, a multiplayer game. And so people are looking to kill them all the time, because and for them, most people, they just respawn. They're not going to respawn. They'll just be dead. So it's examining what life would be like if you lived in a video game and had to live by the rules of the video game. So there's also the story of what's going on outside in the real world as well, and which I didn't expect at all. And they come together very well. This is the best season of Black Mirror for a long, long, long time. Like the last one, I never actually saw the Demon 79. I got to see that. Maisie Day. I can't remember. I just remember. Oh, Beyond the Sea. Yeah, I never really liked that one. No, Alternate 69, something with space, right? Jode is awful. Who was in that? Murphy and Selma. Oh yeah. Lock Henry. None of these ones were really very good in the what's the year was that? 2023. And also 2019. I would say they're all pretty much missable. Smithereens was okay. The Andrew Scott one and the Miley Cyrus one was okay as well, but none of them really knocking out the park. Bandersnatch, I'm not very good at, because I'm not very good at playing like those sort of games, right? I never want to, like, you know, beat up hookers and stuff. So the 2017 season was about the same level. 2017 season, we had, I can't believe how long ago it was, 8 years ago. We had Callista, which was great. Archangel. Who was that? Was that Jodie Rosamund DeWitt? Like about an overprotective mother. Crocodile. Who was that? What was that one? Oh, I think somebody they kill somebody. Yeah, they kill somebody. Actually, Hang the DJ. I loved. Right, with Joko and Georgina Campbell. I thought that was great. Metalhead was very scary. And Black Museum, well, that could have been a series finale and it would have been fine. Right, so season 4, season 3. Or am I thinking of was that Shut Up and Dance? Oh, right. So season 3 was that's the first 2016, the first Netflix season. Nosedive, that's the one Bryce Dallas Howard. Playtest was a very scary video game one. Shut Up and Dance was the very creepy blackmail porn stuff. San Junipero I could have done without. Men Against the Fire. That was okay, but it wasn't great. And Hayden Nation I thought was fantastic. That's one with Kelly McDonald. So then back to see that's 2016. 2014, White Christmas. Loved that one. The one with John Hamm. Season 2, White Bear and Be Right Back were both fantastic. Borderline Moment, I could have given a missing. The national anthem I thought was fantastic. 15 Million Merits was fantastic, mainly because of Daniel Cooler's performance. And The Entire History of You, I can't remember that one. Starring Jodie Whittaker, but still rather good, right? Amazingly so. That was before she got kissed by the curse of Doctor Who. Anyway, that is Black Mirror, ladies and gentlemen. That is my Black Mirror. This season, pretty darn good one. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe. And ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.